Hello and welcome to episode 44 of Battlefield 4 News, and this episode again is all about the launch of Naval Strike. So yesterday we were told that the launch of Naval Strike will be delayed on PC. Now it turns out it's also going to be delayed on Xbox One. It's almost unplayable on PS4, and people on the older consoles are having trouble getting into the game without it black screening. So I think it's time for a change of graphic. The launch of Battlefield 4 Naval Strike is screwed. And this is my compromise graphic because originally there was a much naughtier word written across the screen. And we have a new statement from DICE explaining a little more what the problems are. So once again, for some reason, they've hidden it away in one of their blog posts about Naval Strike. So here it is. Update: we wanted to provide more detail about the delay of Battlefield 4 Naval Strike. We have delayed the PC version of Naval Strike because we are concerned that the combination of the pack and the planned PC updates would increase performance issues on mid-range to high-end PCs. We are working hard to resolve that issue now. Additionally, we have decided to delay the Xbox One version of Naval Strike because we want to address issues in the animation system that hinder players from engaging targets in set circumstances using popular weapon configurations. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at the Xbox One issue. Now, this wasn't mentioned yesterday at all. This basically just didn't get released. Originally people thought there was an issue with Xbox Live, but it turned out that DICE had just pulled the release of Naval Strike on the Xbox One. Now, from their description of the problem, addressing issues with the animation system that hinder players from engaging targets in set circumstances using popular weapon configurations. Now, to me this sounds an awful lot like this graphics bug that we had on the PC, but this was caused by the fact that we could unlock the weapons early and all the animations weren't loaded. So, purely speculation, but did DICE forget to load the animations on the Xbox One version? Now, one thing to remember about the Xbox updates and the PlayStation updates is that DICE can't control them fully. Microsoft and Sony have to authorise them to put the update up, and they have to book a time and date when they're going to do it. So that may well be why, even if it's a simple change for the Xbox One, it's going to take a couple of weeks to get sorted, because they have to rebook their DLC launch. So let's look at the PC update problem. It says that performance issues on mid-range to high-end PCs. How could you have an update that didn't affect low-end PCs? Well, there is a rumour, and I will say that this is only a rumour, so I'll put up a little graphic to say it's a rumour. I was talking to somebody who's a developer and level designer for a different gaming company, and he said, I think it's the size of the maps. The only reason that you would affect mid-range and high-end PCs is the graphics options. So, you've got a high-end PC, you turn the graphics up, and then you try looking at all those vistas on those maps, and your PC can't cope with it. Like I say, this is only a rumour and it's only this person's conjecture, but it does make a lot of sense. If you think about Paracel Storm, it's flat, so you can pretty much only see the waves around you and the closest island. But if you look at some of these new maps, they have massive elevation, and from that elevation you're going to be able to see every island, every wave, every tree, every waving bush, all the moving grass, and it's going to have to model it. And that is why it would only affect high-end PCs or mid-range PCs, because they would have the graphics turned up. Look through the patch notes for the consoles and can't see anything that would cause massive PC issues. There are a few latency tweaks, but again, I can't see why that would cause performance issues for mid-range and high-end PCs. So it would appear to be graphics. So is this another nail in the coffin for Battlefield 4? I'm afraid it is. Now, underneath the bullshit, there is a good game in there, and I really enjoy playing Battlefield 4, and I'm going to continue playing Battlefield 4. But we have to say that this game is a bit of a disaster. Its launch was completely screwed. We had weeks where some people couldn't play the game, we had server crashes, we had client crashes, we have terrible netcode, which has got slightly better, but not a lot. So, yeah, the launch of this game was screwed. Now DICE have been fixing the game, and their top issues tracker shows a bunch of things that they fixed. Some of them they clearly haven't, like the sound loop crash which I had last week. But really they've just been putting a sticking plaster on a mortal wound. This game is bleeding out. If you look at the bottom of this list, you'll see that all the major issues are still there, and they have been there since December. We're talking netcode, rubber banding and hit registration. So we have to say, for bug fixing and the current state of this game, it's screwed. And then we have the launch of Naval Strike, which didn't appear on 2 platforms at all and barely works on the other 3. PS4 has got major rubber banding issues, and the 2 older consoles are not letting a lot of people into the game modes. So Naval Strike gets the status of screwed. Now a lot of people on the forums are still jumping up and down and blaming EA. Now I can't understand why you would blame EA 5 months into the game's life. Okay, when the game came out you could probably say EA rushed them a bit. But now 5 months down the line, all these problems have got to be put at the feet of DICE. And let's not forget, since the launch of Battlefield 4, EA have released 2 other shooters. The first of which, Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare, uses the Frostbite 3 engine and works fine. And of course we have Titanfall, their latest and greatest, and even though that is graphically really nice and has a lot of fast moving elements, that works fine as well. So I'm not saying EA are blameless in this, they own DICE and therefore they're responsible for what DICE do. And maybe they did make them rush it out a bit quick, and some of their statements about how wonderful the launch was and how profitable it was did rub people the wrong way. But I really think we have to look at DICE for this one. DICE are the people that created Battlefield 4. They are ultimately responsible for Battlefield 4. They took Battlefield 3, its engine, its netcode, improved it and made it worse. And in 5 months they haven't been able to fix it, and then they can't even launch their own DLC without discovering problems a day before in terms of the PC and on the day of launch in terms of the Xbox One. But bizarrely, people will still defend DICE. On the forums you will still see posts saying that this latest DLC was rushed out and it wasn't DICE's fault. But you have to remember that DICE didn't really write the last DLC. That was written by Danger Close Studios, who just happened to be renamed DICE Los Angeles by EA, and we know that the second Assault DLC was being produced while the game was being written. So for me, DICE have run out of excuses. The development has been badly managed, the fixing of problems has been badly managed, the public relations has been badly managed, and it's not getting any better. The future DLC has been taken out of the hands of DICE and instead is going to be produced by DICE Los Angeles. So hopefully DICE can get their act together and fix the problems, and DICE Los Angeles can give us some DLC that releases on time. But until the situation improves, my Battlefield 4 background is still going to have the word screwed across the front. And for screwed, you can read something much ruder. So that's it for this episode of Battlefield 4 News. I know it was a bit ranty, but sometimes you just got to get these things off your chest. So I'll bring you more news when it happens. Thanks for watching.